All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Dale Tries to Fix Something. No, we have to upgrade our solar a little bit. So I have bought another 200 watt solar panel, and it's going to go from there. We're going to climb the ladder, bring it on the roof, and get it installed. The way I do this, and I've done this with all of them, I get a piece of unistrut from Home Depot. You can pick these up for about 30 bucks for about 10 feet. Cut it in half, about 48 inches, so a little bit less than half. And the brackets that are made to go onto the solar panel, put those on the solar panel, and then you get these little things. You get these at Home Depot as well. And these go right inside the unistrut. So I have a 200 watt solar panel here. It's going to be in addition to the 600 watts I have upstairs on the roof already. I got my bag full of tools, so I'm not carrying up and down, up and down, up and down. And we're going to climb to the top of that and get these up there. So let's get this started. There's probably an easier way to do this, but I don't have one right now. So we're going to do it this way. Now what, Dale? Well, Hey buddy, could you grab this? Oh, there's no one else up here. So, let's see how we're going to do this here. I think a rope would be my best solution. Not quite as agile as I used to be. This might work. Well, that was fun. Look at this view. Absolutely gorgeous. I have 100 watt, 100 watt, 100 watt, 100 watt. I have 400 watts right there. We knew that was not going to be enough for the refrigerator. So I added this other 200 watt solar panel right there. And that's pretty good, not bad. But we need another 200 watts. I would love to put it right there, but that is in my way. And if I go in the back, then I'm running wires all the way up here. I don't want to do that either. My original idea was to go from here and put it right here. But the curvature of my roof will not allow me to do that. Because it angles down. So I think the best spot is right there. And we're going to run the wire underneath the solar panel and hook it up. Now, these two are hooked up in series. These two are hooked up in series. And then these are hooked up in parallel. I'm going to put, and then this is hooked up in series. So I'm going to put this and that in parallel. And then both of those will be hooked up in series to all of those. Or maybe those are in parallel and then I hooked them up to series. I don't know. Right now I'm running 70 volts down. I want to keep that to 70 volts, which means I just need to hook that one up parallel to that one, keep the same voltage. So let's do this. As you can see, these others I have this unistrut that I lay down on both sides. That goes to the roof, and then that's die-core self-leveling. And then I have these inserts and use the bracket that's hooked up to the solar panel. That way, if I need to take the solar panel off for any kind of reason whatsoever, I can take those off and not have to worry about my self-leveling. And I did that on the 100s, this 200, and I'm going to do the same thing with a new one. So let's get this going. First step is to drill 3 holes, and then put some die-core down, hold this down, and then put my leg screws in. This is what I'm doing to hold the unistruts on. It's a 1.5 inch by 5/16 leg bolt. That's going to go right in there. And the reason I don't have to look for studs or joists, there's a piece of plywood that goes across the joists on this whole top. So this into the plywood will hold it, and it has. These 100 watts have held for 6 years. And this is held for about a month. So no problems at all. Nice and tight. So let's get going. Thing is, I do know there's a joist right here just for fun, because that's where the angle goes down. So I'm going to pull this up about right there, just so I can hit that. All right. And if you're wondering, this is what we use for lap sealant. Die-core lap sealant, self-leveling. Self-leveling on anything horizontal, non-leveling for anything vertical. Stuff's good. Well, that is not tightening. Nope, I don't like that at all. Not at all. And you know what I think happened is I think that's where the 2 plywoods meet. So that is not good. So we're going to go down. There we go. So, my mistake. There's not a joist there, and in fact, that's where the two plywoods meet. So when it came together, I wasn't drilling into anything. That's nice and tight. The problem is, I need to get some stuff on here now, because that is not good. Dale. We're gonna have to clean that up. All right. We have the die-core self-leveling underneath the unistrut. We have the hole drilled, pre-drilled for the leg screw. Now if we can find exactly where that is. There it is right there. We got that in there. Now we get some self-leveling all around there. And the last one, you just goop it on. It looks messy, but that will self-level and it works. So you can see it underneath, see it on top. And I'm going to add a little bit more to that one. After a few mistakes. But I covered my holes up with some self-leveling. What an idiot! But these are in here, solid. The other side, that's what it's supposed to look like. And I have my wires running up here, underneath here. They're running parallel with this. Then I have them hooked up in series with what I already had. So I just need to get a couple of wire ties. And I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 800 watts of solar on the roof. That really bums me out. But I will get up here and I'll let that dry, and then I'll clean up my mess. Get those wires tidied up, and we're good. Can't beat the view though, huh? So here is the final product. We got the new 200 watt panel on. Yes, my holes are filled in. And that is hooked up into parallel to this 200 watt. Here's the wires. And then those two are hooked up in series to these two sets of 100 watts, which are right up here. And then all that runs through my vent that goes down into the camper, and then I fish it out through the battery compartment. So in my battery compartment, these are the wires coming out of my solar panel. They're going into my charge controller. Charge controller is going directly to the battery. The battery is going directly into a cutoff switch or a fuse block. And then that is going all the way up into my inverter. Inverter powers all of my non-GFI plug-ins in the camper. The GFI is only available when we're plugged into the house, into the 120 volt. Otherwise, everything runs off the inverter, including the refrigerator. And that's what kind of started this whole thing. And there we go. And I monitor everything with this Rhenology Bluetooth adapter that I have in my charge controller. It's showing 59 volts, 10 amps, for a total of 600 watts right now. And we have a little bit of clouds in the sky. That's why we're not getting the full 800. Battery's getting charged at 13.7 volts at 41 amps. And then, of course, when the battery's charged, that goes to just a float cycle, but we're in a bulk cycle right now. So that's pretty good. We have 800 watts on the top. It's currently getting 592, and that's more than enough to handle our refrigerator and charge our battery as long as we have sun. So cross our fingers for continuous sun. Hey, moments of adventure. Here's an adventure.